Let us see one phenomenon that we are seeing. Inflation today is worldwide. The US inflation in 2020 was 1.2%. In the United States, inflation beyond 2% is regarded as very high inflation. But what happened? What happened was that in January of 2022, inflation touched 7.5%. In June, it touched 9.1%. In October, it went to 7.7%. This is unheard of in the United States. This rise in inflation, this kind of a magnitude of inflation, has not been seen in the United States for several decades. Look at UK. In January 2022, the inflation was 5.5%. In October of 2022, that is a few months ago, it was 11.1%. These numbers indicate a level of inflation in these countries beyond the normal situation to which they are accustomed. Of course, our inflation also increased, but you will see we normally tolerated a much higher level of inflation than what US and UK used to do. Then, one question that we can ask is, if the inflation is high in UK, it's high in US, it's high in India, it is high in many other countries in the world, is there some common factor that is doing it? Is there a common explanation for the rise in inflation? Let us go back to COVID-19 again. During the time of COVID-19, what did all countries do? Every country was advised to raise the government expenditure. This is a standard Keynesian prescription. When the economy is operating at a low key, operating at a low level, the idea is that we must really, the government expenditure must increase in order to stimulate the economy. This is what all countries did. Let me give you some numbers. In the United States, in 2019, the fiscal deficit was 4.67% of the GDP. Believe it or not, in 2020, the fiscal deficit of United States as a percentage of GDP was 14.81%. In 2021, it was 12.17%. As you know, that in the United States, in order to stimulate the economy, they almost sent a check to every household in the United States in order to increase aggregate demand. Therefore, the enormous increase in government expenditure, consequent upon and which resulted in the high fiscal deficit, is almost similar to what textbooks used to talk about helicopter money. Whenever they want to explain quantity theory of money, they would say that supposing there is a helicopter and it drops money all over the place, then everybody has more money in their hands, then what do? As I said earlier, on the Cambridge equation model, the amount of cash holding increases above what they would normally like to have. They spend it, and as a result of it, the price level goes up so long as output does not increase. Let me come to UK. In 2019, the fiscal deficit of UK was 2.2%. In 2020, it was 12.8%. And in 2021, it is 8.1% of GDP. In India, in 2012, it was 7.22%. This is taking both the center and the states. It went up to 13.31%. And in 2021, it is 9.62%. The point that I'm making is that in order to meet the COVID crisis, all governments decided to increase the government expenditure. Since this increase in the government expenditure resulted in such a high fiscal deficit, which could be accommodated only by an expansionary policy on the part of the central bank. It is this which is coming home to roost.